Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hello, my name is Shirley Merritt. I'd like to welcome you to my show. I call it Raspberry Lemonade. Let's talk. First of all, I'd like to thank Jesus Christ for bringing me to this forum. Secondly, I'd like to thank the staff of MS&Me Radio for giving me this opportunity. I get to voice my opinion to an audience that will benefit not only them, but also myself. Today I'd like to talk about something that I think will be interesting, and it's been informative just doing some research on it for myself. I want to talk about MS and dating, multiple sclerosis and dating. When I was first diagnosed 16 and a half years ago, one of the first things I thought about was, I'm not married yet. And I remember asking God to please bring someone into my life. I didn't know what kind of person would accept me. All of my life, I guess I should start by saying, all of my life I was kind of into what I would call eye candy. And I won't say I had a certain type, because some eye candy can be superficial, right? So they have to be weeded out, if you want to say. But I still, even though I had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I knew I had an illness that might keep me from meeting and maybe having someone be attracted to me or finding me attractive that met this part of the criterion that I was looking for, which was the eye candy. I still wanted that because that was inside of me. Just because we develop multiple sclerosis, it doesn't mean that it changes who we are on the inside. Whatever our personality is, more than likely is going to remain the same. So if all of my life I was partial to, a good-looking face as well as what's on the inside, just because I was diagnosed with a life-changing chronic illness, it doesn't mean that that criterion or that part of my criterion was going to change. Of course, what we define as individuals as eye candy is basically up to us as individuals. One person's eye candy is not the same as another person's eye candy, and so when I talk about eye candy, I don't mean to sound superficial, like I wanted to only date gorgeous men, but I wanted to date someone that I was attracted to physically as well as mentally and emotionally and spiritually. So anyway, that wasn't going to change, and I didn't want to change it. I didn't know how to change it, and I really wasn't willing to change it. So I was faced with the challenge of trying to figure out how I was now going to meet someone who would accept me with this devastating illness that I have. I mean, if it was devastating to me, I would think that it would be hard to find someone else who would understand it and accept me for having it. So the first thing I thought about was, Okay, and I didn't do this right away. Actually, it took me about 10 years to do this. So I guess I should go back and talk about what I did for 10 years. For 10 years, I think I spent time just focusing on myself, getting used to the fact that I had multiple sclerosis. I became disabled at about 9 years, so I had to embrace my disability. I had to accept it, and then ultimately I had to learn to embrace it because it wasn't going anywhere. And and unfortunately, I every time I had a relapse, I became a little worse. Some of my symptoms became permanent. So, I was faced with the challenge of, finding someone. And I guess I should stop saying finding someone because I'm very spiritual and I believe that God brings people to our lives. I honestly don't go out looking for them. So when I use the term finding someone, I don't really mean that. But just because I might forget in this conversation and say it, just humor me. Okay? So, I was faced with that challenge of meeting someone, maybe I should say, who would accept me. Did I want someone who had a chronic illness such as mine? I didn't really know because on one hand I thought, well, I want someone strong and healthy and beautiful and spiritually, equally yoked with me and on the same intellectual, you know, um, capacity that I have, and someone with similar interests as mine. And I wanted all of those things. I wanted everything in the package, the same things that I wanted before I became disabled. And that was where I couldn't change my mindset. So I was thinking, but will someone like that ever notice me? Will they ever be interested in me? So that was my challenge, and all I could do regarding that was pray to God. So pray to your higher power about that. Maybe that will give you some peace of mind and some direction as to where your mindset should go. Um, so you know, so I joined. After about 10 years. So before 10 years, I did a lot of soul searching. I had to get acclimated. I was using a walker after about oh 8 years, not no about 9 to 10 years. I was using a walker 100% of the time, and I always thought that okay, eventually, in about a year, I'll stop using this walker. I see so many people bounce back. I see people bounce back from being confined to wheelchairs and using canes, and you see them a year or two later and they're walking independently again. So that was my mindset at first. I really didn't think that my disability would be permanent. I just didn't want to believe that it would, so I didn't. So I started thinking, okay, since I don't have any visible disability, do I tell people as I meet them that I have multiple sclerosis, or do I keep that to myself until I get to know them better? But then what if I fall in love with them? Or what if they fall in love with me? And then when I tell them, when I drop this bomb on them, they can't handle it, or I'm too afraid to tell them because of my fear of losing them. So, I was faced with that challenge, and I had to decide how I wanted to handle this. So, there were so many thoughts going through my mind. How do I meet someone? How do I tell someone? When do I tell someone? I had a sister, or have a sister, who has multiple sclerosis. She was diagnosed 3 years before me, but she has no visible disability. So, you know, I don't know if she thought about this. She probably didn't have to, because at the time she was married, and she didn't have to think about this, but I think I had a couple of conversations with her, and I let her know that it was on my mind. So, you know, I tried to use her as a sounding board sometimes, but she wasn't always available. She was raising two little babies, and she had a husband. You know, had a marriage to keep her preoccupied, if you will. So anyway, you know, I thought about things like, okay, I finally thought I'll join a support group. And that was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I've never found love within that support group. You know, the same people come every week. I think we have like 70 members, but you know, only a handful show up. We meet once a month, and we might have anywhere from 10 to 35 people to show up, you know, once a month on a Saturday morning between 10 and 12. However, you know who's in our group, and there's never anyone new. I mean, there I guess I should change that. There are some people that come in that are new, but most of the people that come in are females, you know, because we are the highest numbers, you know, with MS. We're higher than men. And so anyway, I have found, because I've been going to this support group for a few years now, and I think I've come to the realization that I'm more than likely not going to meet him in this group. He's not going to be one of the people in this group. So, you know, I'll just leave that for my emotional and mental support, my psychological support, if you will, to help get me through MS. However, I was like back to the drawing board. Now I had to find another outlet, another way to meet someone. Now, you know, from time to time, I would kind of gravitate toward social media to maybe help me find this person. You know, there are a lot of online dating sites, and I've actually, when I was first diagnosed, I would Google, you know, dating sites for people with multiple sclerosis, and I never found anything. And but today, you know, I Googled it and I found several sites, and I found videos of people that were, you know, they dated and now they're married, and it just gave me some hope. And this was just yesterday and today when I was starting to prepare for what I wanted to talk about. And it's funny because, you know, when you have a subject that is near and dear to your heart, you realize that you don't really need the notes. You just talk. And that's what I've been doing today, just talking. I haven't once glanced at my notes. I'm going to kind of look at some key points that I want to be sure I bring out before, you know, our time is over. So, let's see. Let's talk about you know, when you do finally meet someone. Say you're talking to someone, you meet someone on a social media site, and you're clicking, you're having phone conversations. You know, if you decide, you know, you of course you start off with phone conversations only. Don't give out personal information. You know, don't give out things like your address. You know, you may not want to even give your last name at the beginning, because, you know, a lot of people still have landlines, and me for one, I do. It's because cell phones are so unpredictable. My cell phone, I've had to take it to the repair store and be without a phone maybe half a day, and it's, you know, it's almost crippling. And you know, and when you wake up and your phone doesn't work, and you know, and you can't call out to find out, you know, to call the technical support over the phone, you can't even call about it. So I feel like I have to keep my landline. So with that being said, I'll go back to what I was saying about you may not want to give out your last name readily in the beginning. You may want to feel this person out for a while before you give out your last name, and even the city that you live in. But when you finally do get to a comfort level and you feel like you want to meet this person, and vice versa, um, there's safety in numbers. So ask a friend to go with you, maybe for the first few times that you're around the person that you're interested in knowing a little better. So don't shy away from asking your friend things like what, in fact, that's another good reason for them to go, so you can find out what they think about this person. And don't be afraid to ask them, because friends can be a lot more objective than we can, because our emotions are involved. And when you're, especially if you meet each other and you talk on the phone for a while, and you're really anticipating meeting them, and you're getting excited about the possibility of what this could become. So your emotions may not be as stable as they normally would be, because you have goo goo gaga eyes, love eyes. Love is in your eyes. That's what I like to say. So anyway, take a friend with you so they can be more, open minded, and you want to be cautious so that you don't, set yourself up for situations that could turn into, they could escalate into problems, and they could be situations that you could have avoided. um so you know I'll go back to my own scenario. So first, like I said, I was into this. I had to decide, okay, what do I want this person to have. I want them to have character. I want them to have personality. You want to know about their likes and dislikes, and of course, I think one of the first things I want to know, because in my mind, I don't want to invest time in on someone and then not like them when I see them, and that's unfortunate, because I could possibly overlook really uh, terrific person with that part of my criterion. Some people don't have that part of that criterion. So up front, I kind of want to know what they look like. So, you know, when you finally do meet face to face, you want to pay attention to things like body language, because that says a lot. And of course, you want to look at outward appearance, not in the way of what their face looks like, but the way they dress. Do they look like they are a neat person, well put together? you know um you there are great topics of conversation that can come up, things that you can talk about that will tell you about them, their life, their childhood, things they like to do. um, you know um, of course, in my case now, I think that I would rather meet someone who, I don't know, I guess I don't want to say who has a disability, but someone who at least can relate to the challenges that I'm struggling with. So, I think that's where I am right now. And but then you may not be there. You may have invisible or benign MS. That's when you don't have many symptoms, and it's not visible to anyone else other than yourself, who I'm sure it is visible to. So you have to decide based on you and this person's disability level, and of course, you may not even want to be on a multiple sclerosis dating site. You may choose to be on a regular site where you don't even have to disclose the fact that you have multiple sclerosis until you want to. Until you feel comfortable with that person. Me myself, I think I'm past that. I think that the way that I feel comfortable with it is to go on to a website where the people have multiple sclerosis, and then I can, you can always look at profiles and pictures and decide who you want to talk to. And that's always fun. It's kind of like having, remember the old show, The Dating Game? If you're as old as I am, there was a show called The Dating Game, and you got to choose between three people, and they would, show the audience the faces and the mannerisms and everything, but the person that was questioning them and or interviewing them, if you will, they of course couldn't see who they were talking to. So the fun thing about dating sites is you go on and you can surf the profiles, and you can decide on who you want to talk to. So I've done that before, and sometimes I get a little discouraged because I may not find anyone that looks appealing to me. Again, that's me going back to that physical aspect of it, which I'm trying to shy away from that somewhat. Anyway, you want to choose carefully, as carefully as you can, who you want to talk to. And then you begin talking, and if you have like interest and enough in common, then that's who you choose. And you just, next thing you know, you're not emailing, because you don't really want to give out your email address, but you might text each other, you might call each other all the time. You might join a site that allows you to only converse over that social media site for safety. So anyway, once you find this person that you want to connect with, okay, then you decide, keeping safety in mind, of course. You decide how you want to meet, and who you want to develop a relationship with. So, you find out how you want to meet. Don't move too quickly if you don't meet that potential person, develop a relationship with. You know, don't be discouraged. Decide if you trust the person that you have decided on. And, sometimes the more disabled you are, you know, the more the easier it is for someone to try to take advantage of you. So don't move too quickly. You probably just need to be cautious at first until you get to know them better, and then of course meet in a public situation. Um, so anyway, so decide where you want to meet. It could be for coffee. It could be for lunch. It could be somewhere. They have these places now. I've seen them where they have like small living rooms, several of them set up inside of an establishment that serves coffee and snacks, and they even have separate fireplaces where you can just go you can go in the winter and sit down in this little, it's so cute. It's like a little living room environment, and you're sitting in front of a fireplace, and you're just talking, you're conversing, you're having fun, you're drinking coffee, you're drinking cocoa or sodas, and you're eating, snacks, cheesecake or pie or vegetables, if you're vegan, like myself. Anyway, it's such a nice, they're really nice. I can't think of what they're called, but they probably have different names, but it's a wonderful place to go and meet someone. So pick out one of those places, sit there and talk and get to know each other. You might decide you want to go to a movie, or you might want to meet at a restaurant, but always be cautious, keep that in mind, and never give up, because we're important, special people, and we deserve a chance at love. Just because we have multiple sclerosis doesn't mean that we should think of ourselves as unlovable. And after all, you never know when you can meet someone that is special, and they might just be around the next corner. So don't give up. Stay strong, be safe, enjoy yourself, meet someone. There's love out there for all of us, and even if you have multiple sclerosis, just have fun. Life is not over just because we got diagnosed with this awful disease, And like I said, some people, it's invisible. So, you know, their life isn't that affected. I mean, internally it is because they're totally aware that they have this. But, other people may not be as aware that they have this. So just have fun with it. Be safe. I've enjoyed talking to you all so much today, and I'm sorry if I sound like I've just been rambling on. But I've enjoyed it so much, and I hope you'll come back next week. I think I'm going to continue this topic actually next week because I think there's just so much more that we could explore about it. So take care. You have a wonderful day. God bless, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.